Hello, everyone. This is Young Man the Prophet Ministries. I'm its host, Matthew Espinal. Today, I want to speak on a very controversial subject, which is predestination. Not just for the church, but in general, in society at large. This is absolutely probably one of the hottest topics that you can get in a discussion with people. I mean, it's something that's taboo. You're not to talk about these things. And what I'm talking about is called slavery. It's something that we don't understand, and we don't know what the real purpose of that is in the sense of predestination. We just look at it from our little narrow viewpoint of being a created being. We have no clue what is really behind all that. And that's what I want to talk about a little bit, discuss it, and why God has this all set up. Truly, the understanding of predestination is the core of who God is and what He's doing in and through us in this first creation. It's the point of this first creation. It is to imprint in our being that we are subjects of Him, that we don't belong to ourselves, and that's the whole point of this first creation. It is to do that. This first creation is coming to an end. At some point here, it will have accomplished what it is to accomplish, and it'll be over with. And until then, this is what we have to go on. And so I'm going to discuss this predestination. Before I do, there is some things I have to speak on about God Himself and what He is doing in this creation and in us. We have the question that's always there: what's the purpose of all things? Why are we going through these things? Why does good things happen to bad people and bad things happen to good people, and vice versa, back and forth? The understanding of these things are not going to be shown in this first creation. You're not going to understand it unless you are actually experiencing God Himself. You're never going to discover these things because God has it set up that way. He has it set up that we won't know Him, that we're not going to see Him. He hides behind all of this stuff for a sole purpose. When He does come on the scene, He is going to be shown for who He is, and in great power and glory, and that He is the God and King of us in this creation, that we really don't have the power that we think we have, and that we have been taught from birth, that we have this unalienable right and power to do whatever we want to do. That is the very opposite of who God is and what He is accomplishing. It's something that it is one of the hardest things to break from. And it's impossible unless God is working in your life. There is no way you are going to break from that, because that is who we are. That is the very core of who we are as individuals. We are little pieces of Him. And so the Spirit within us does exactly what it is of God, that it worships itself. My spirit worships me. That is who I am. And each spirit within each individual that is listening to this worships yourself. And that is the makeup of what gives us our life and power. Well, in order for God to accomplish what He's trying to accomplish, He has to use of Himself to create us, but at the same time, He has to break us that we don't have the power, that what belongs to us, that we think belongs to us, actually belongs to Him. We are His subjects, and we don't have power to do what we think we can do or choose to do. We don't. And that's what this whole first creation is about. He has set this up to prove to us this, and to break us. It's just like breaking a horse, and that's what He's doing with us. God, before He created anything, He was a spirit. He was an immense spirit, no creation. He, within Himself, experienced much. You can see this in creation itself, because everything displays something about the Father. And that includes our birth into adolescence, teens, and into adulthood, and we leave our family to go be with a wife or a husband, and we create our own family. You know, these are images of what he's experiencing himself before he started this creation. You know, and obviously he needs something, or he wouldn't have brought this to pass. He is trying to accomplish something that is going to give him pleasure, that is going to give him satisfaction, is going to give him worship. And how is he going to do this? You know, he has attempted much. He knows much. He has a lot of wisdom in dealing with all this stuff. And he had come to a point where he knew that he had to do something more. And that is that point of leaving the porch and going finding a wife. And that is what this is all about. He is creating a wife. How is he going to create this wife? He obviously knows that he has to take of himself to create. In order to bring something to existence, he takes of his spirit and it brings it into existence. Well, if he does that, what's she going to do? She's going to worship herself rather than him. That is not doable. He don't want that. That would be wasting himself. So in order to accomplish this, to create this wife that is going to worship him and he love her back, he has to mold her and give her the understanding and knowledge that this life that she has was given to her at a great cost to him and for her to exist. So in order for that to happen, this is what he has come up with. It is this first creation. This is the groundwork where he is going to mold us into pieces, and once combined together, that makes up this body of glory, which is his new body, his wife that he's trying to create. So here's the whole thing. When he began this creation, this first creation, he took of himself and he created Lucifer and his angels. Lucifer and his angels, they were to create a work that glorified him. And you can see it. It says in Genesis 1:1, in the beginning was God created the heaven and earth. The earth was without form and void. Darkness was on the face of the deep. Something happened. It's a chaotic event that happened there. And it's because Lucifer and his angels, what they created was this physical environment. And because they weren't worshiping God, they were worshiping themselves, this is what came out. It is this environment, which is what God wanted to happen, obviously. He knows these things are going to happen. His spirit that he gives to create life is going to worship itself. He knows this. So that event was exactly planned. And then the next part is where he said, let there be light. And that's where the 7 days of creation come in. That's where the righteous angels were created. They were created in the midst of this chaos. They had a witness that showed to them that this is what happens. This is what happens when you worship yourself. You know, there's a lot more to it, but that is the chain of events there. The Lucifer and his angels were created in the beginning, and then in the next 2 chapters you have where it says let there be light. That's when the righteous angels were created, and then they're created to bring this out of chaos. They had the power to bring this into a working order so that it create an environment for us to be born into. Adam and Eve were born. What were they going to do? God already knows that this is what's going to happen. There is nothing else that was to happen here. This idea that they had this power to choose between the tree of knowledge of good and evil and the tree of life wasn't going to happen. They were never going to choose the tree of life, because to choose the tree of life would mean that they are God, that they are worshiping him. They're not going to do that. They're going to worship themselves. That is the truth. So they were going to do it, and that was the purpose of it. This whole environment was created to show us that we don't worship God. We worship ourselves, so that he can break us of that, and he can mold us into a vessel, a body of believers that do worship him. Only he can do it. So this idea that we can follow the law, we can follow the Ten Commandments, that they are put into place to show that if you can follow these Ten Commandments, then you're God. That is the whole point of it. And obviously we're not, because in order to be God, we would have to be every created being combined together. That makes up who God is. When God accomplished his work in the beginning, everything was finished on the seventh day. He rested from all his works. It was finished. In other words, everything was put into motion that was going to come to pass from there on out. Nothing else was going to be new, so to speak. Everything was put into place. All the spirits were there that had the knowledge within them to do what they're going to do and to bring forth creation. We were there at that moment too. Not living in the sense of what we're living, but besides all that, as creation began to come forward, you have the angels going forward and controlling events. And Lucifer and his angels, they are in corruption. They are obviously in darkness, worshiping themselves completely. They're not about God at all, but at the same time, they have no power in and of themselves. They obviously have power, but it plainly shows it in the scriptures that they can't do anything unless they go and ask permission. So in other words, all the chaos, all the corruption, everything that's going on in this world today is not possible unless they go and ask God if they can do this. And so God gives them permission. How is that in any shape or form right? If we're going on, it's all about our choices and stuff. It plainly states in there that Lucifer and his angels have to go and ask permission to do things, and that includes murder. Then how is that any way righteous? And that's the whole point. Like, there has to be understanding of these things, and that is what I'm bringing out. I'm showing the understanding of these things, that this whole system's in place for the sole purpose of showing to us and for us to experience as individuals that we are in existence and created for the sole purpose of bringing God glory. We belong to him. We don't have any power of ourselves to do what we want to do. Now, sure, we have been born into this life thinking we do, and for the most part, we have our little areas of life that we can stretch bounds and do certain things and everything, but best believe that God controls all these events. Every single thing that's come to pass. Everything. From the worst of things to the best of things. It's all him. He controls the tide of life. And he does it through his angels. They control everything. Lucifer and them, they are the ones that bring forth the chaos. This is their kingdom, so to speak. But do they really have it? No, they don't. And they're controlled by God to do exactly what he wants them to do in order for him to perfect us. So us being born into sin is really us being born separated from the rest of God. We are islands unto ourselves. And as we mature in our sin, we gain more sin. Now, obviously, some sin's worse than others. Some sin, and honestly, in my opinion of it, the worst of sin is being self-righteous, because the self-righteous think that they are doing the will of God. And they're completely deceived. It's the worst. At least someone who is doing adultery or has committed, stole something or committed murder or something, at least they know that they have done wrong, that they are worshiping themselves or worshiping an entity other than the fullness of God. It's the ones that are self-righteous that are the worst. So this whole creation has gone forward, and it is for the point of us experiencing that we don't have power. The Ten Commandments were put into place. fulfill the 10 commandments. We can't do it. None of us have been able to. There's not one person that has other than Jesus Christ. And he wasn't born based upon the tree of knowledge of good and evil. He was born based upon the tree of life. A different line. He was not born after this line of man. And so we're unable to do the 10 commandments. So the new way has been made for us to be redeemed back to God. This was us trying to do it, the 10 commandments, our own strength. We failed miserably because we're not going to do it. To now God's going to do it. He has provided a way for us to be redeemed back to him, for us to be committed back to him. And that is through Jesus Christ. And now Jesus Christ himself, he had to experience his own powerlessness. He was perfected by the things in which he suffered. He had to experience that he didn't have the power. Now, when he was here on this earth, he obviously had power. He didn't experience any separation from God. It wasn't until the cross where he had to create a work of separation. And that's what he did. He created a work of separation. He went into the center of the earth. And in those moments of time, he experienced himself that he did not have the power. He could not raise himself out of the grave. Nothing he could do. He had to wait on the promise. He had to wait on and trust in the Father that in 3.5 days, he was going to be empowered to raise himself out of that and to reverse that work of death. And that's exactly that. And that's where he was perfected. And it is that perfection, that work there of raising out of it to reversing that work of death, of separation, that he now gives unto us. That is the true salvation. Our spirit is empowered with that single work that causes our spirit to likewise begin to undo all the works of separation. They're all the same. Don't matter what it's labeled. They're all the same thing. It has been my spirit that has created work that separates me from him. That's what sin is. But it's all the same. It don't matter if it's from the top to the bottom. It still works to separate him. It glorifies myself. It glorifies creation rather than the creator. And as the salvation comes to pass, my spirit begins to undo all these works that have been selfish and has caused me to be separated from God. Do I have power to do it? Absolutely not. Obviously, I don't even choose to do it. It's against my will. My will is to survive in this life and to better myself in this world. It's nothing to do with God. But in that, he is doing it himself. And I'm very thankful for it. Because I'm being released. He's doing it. It's his salvation. I'm enslaved to this realm. But truly, I'm a slave to him. And that's what it's all about. I can't do anything to change this. There's nothing that I can do. I can say all I want, choose all I want to do something else. At the end of the day, he's going to get his. He has brought this all to pass. All of creation. It don't matter if you're animal, plant life, the physical realm, physical life, the spiritual realm. They're all little pieces of God. When it's all combined together, it makes him up. He's going to get his back. He has set up this whole entire creation to create us an environment that is perfected in the truth that we are his creation. He is the creator. We were created for one sole purpose and one sole purpose only, and that is to worship him. And it is to worship him because he has created it this way. Not because we're worshiping him out of our own strength, because that's not righteous either. That's my little piece of him trying to bring him glory. It's not going to happen. He wants something that is all of him, bringing him glory. That is what's pleasing unto him. So when it says in the scripture that it's pleasing unto him, it's not because it's the individual, it's because they are connected with, by faith or by hope, to the rest of who he is. So that now it's really all of God, with the mindset that it's all about God, not just about me. And that's where it's at. That's really what it is. So I am a little piece. Everyone's a little piece. as the salvation comes, what happens is I'm now connected with all of God. And in that, the works that I do then is pleasing unto him because it's connected to him. And I'm doing it for all of him. So that includes all of him, which is everyone here on this earth that belongs to him. And everyone does. And that includes everyone under the earth that belongs to him. They're going to also be a part of this too. He's not going to leave them there. This idea that's been taught in church is so horribly wrong. It is completely wrong. This stuff is not going to be eternal. In our mind it is, because we're little pieces. This is God's plan. When the suffering's done in hell, it's going to be cast into the lake of fire. That is where the transformation is going to happen for them. And they're going to be brought back in. And they are going to be the foundation upon which we're all built upon. Because when their works are reversed, those works of being freed from their torment is going to be so powerful, and we're going to partake in that. So they're not going to exist in their wickedness, nor do any of us exist in our wickedness anymore, or our selfishness. All our works are going to be reversed. And that reversal is what he's truly after. That is the beginning for him. How am I going to create this wife? This is what I want her to look like. This is what I want her to do. From that point, he started to work backwards, and that's how he created all this. And so my works, when they're reversed, this is what he's really after. Well, how am I going to create this version? I have to do such and such this way. Just like everyone else has their own variances of things, their own spirit that they worship. But when it's reversed, it's going to be a complete and whole picture of what he's really after. Down here, we're all different. We all have our own sin. Some are greater than others. Some are hidden. Some are not. The idea that we can go around and we judge everyone like, look at how bad they've done. I wouldn't do that. Well, you have your own, but you just don't know it. We're all in this together, every last one of us. So when we judge someone, the true judgment is we're a part of God and God's redeeming all of us. That's the true judgment. But this judgment down here where we're like, oh, look at this wicked person and what they're doing. What you're doing is you're creating works of judgment in yourself, and you're judging yourself because you're no better. That is the judgment of this world. The true judgment is we're all going to experience salvation. It's just where do we fall in this plan of redemption? In this end times right now, this is a grand time to be living in, because we're about to experience a complete resurrection of this church. And this resurrection of this church is what is going to cast out Satan and cause all this to be destroyed, all this wickedness to be destroyed on this earth, and set up God's kingdom here. But it is different periods of time that we're all going to experience. I'm not whole without the Old Testament saints. Really, they're doing stuff right now in heaven. They've been resurrected in their glorified form. They're doing works right now. Through them, the angels come down here and minister unto us. Jesus Christ, the Old Testament saints, angels minister unto us. That's how it works. When we are in our glorified state, we are going to be the ones who command the angels, and through the Old Testament saints to the angels. And the angels are going to come to the ones that are left here on this earth in the millennium and minister unto them. And their work is going to be redeeming this physical realm back. That's what the 1,000-year reign is going to be, to redeem this physical realm. And then at the very end is when the judgment is going to happen. And when we're all done here and all the saints are together in heaven, then we are going to cleanse that. And that's the process of it. But coming back to what I been speaking about is the predestination. We are all predestinated to bring forth certain things. We're going to do it. We can fight about it all we want. We can this and that. God is in control of every single thing that we do. And he's doing it not because from our viewpoint, oh, well, I don't want him doing, he can't do this to me and do that. He's doing it from his viewpoint as God, a whole. And he's after this creation of this body of glory, how am I going to get that? He's not looking at us from individuals. He's looking at the whole and loving this. This is what he's about, loving this creation, this new creation, the second creation. How am I going to get that? And this is how he has done it. So I am enslaved to do that, whether I want to do it or not. It's against my will as a created individual. And that is the truth. There is no, I'm going to choose to serve him. That's not how it is. Good luck with that. You know, you get into heaven, you think you're going to get into heaven and be like, well, how did I get here? Because pat myself on the back, I got here because I chose right. No, that's not how it is. Well, we're not going to have credit for anything when we get there. Because when we get there, we're going to understand that we haven't done not one thing. That it's been him all along doing everything. And we're going to be thankful for it. I'm thankful now because for the most part, I've been condemned my whole life, thinking I've done all this horrible stuff. And now come to find and see what it's really about, and to see that this whole system's set up for him to perfect us, and that we don't have the power, that he truly is in control, and there's spiritual beings that are doing this that are a billion times more powerful than me. It is a relief to me. Now, don't get me wrong, this whole entire creation still condemns me, you know, and how horrible I am. And God's changing me. You know, I'm no longer what they say I am. I am a born-again child of God. Being transformed, I'll no longer do these things. If I'm still doing them, it's because he is still working on me. And he is going to get me out of these things. And I'm thankful for it. You know, to be released from this stuff. And not only that, I want to release others. That is what I'm about. I can't wait to have the power to preach these things and to release individuals from the power of Satan. Because that is what it's about, and to release people from their sin. To forgive sin, absolutely. Go read it in the scriptures. That's what power we have been given, to forgive sin. It's not for the elders or for the Pope or any of that. It is, we have been given that power, and it's been lost. Read it in the scriptures. Take your strong concordance and look it up. That we have the power. They have been given power to forgive sin. Jesus had power either to heal. Is it easier for me to say be healed, or you're forgiven of your sin? And they're like, oh, he said something like that. Oh, he can't do that. Who are you to say that you can forgive sin? Well, he gives that to us too. We are equal with him. And there's so much to this that I can't wait, man. God's kingdom is not this kingdom of this world. There is so much stuff going on in this realm right now. And Trump rolling, you know, and this power that he has, and he is setting up this kingdom that is going to be here, put in place for this end time event. We need this kingdom to be powerful. The Democrats weren't getting it powerful. It was very opposite. They're giving our strength away. We need a kingdom that is completely and utterly powerful, that is going to come against God and his glory. You know, and that's where we're at. You know, it's exciting times. I'm very thankful to be here. That's all I have to say. Hopefully I said something that intrigues your interest, if anyone is listening. And if you want to get a hold of me, look, you can leave a message or a comment, whatever, on this video, and I'll get back with you. Lord Jesus Christ, bless the hearers of this and the chosen and the elect. This is Young Man the Prophet, Matthew Espinob, signing off. Have a good evening.